DJ Treylow podcast, man, coming at you June 27th, 2019. Yeah, man, I've been on vacation, so just getting back. Like last week, I did like a little podcast, but it wasn't that great. Let's see what I can show you here. I've been downloading a lot of bullshit ass movies, man. I'm just saying this summer been kind of whack. Like there ain't been really like no good downloadable movies. So like I'll download it and watch. You know, like you always know it's some bullshit movie. You like watch the first 10 minutes of it, and you're like, what the hell is this? Like it doesn't catch your interest in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, bloop, delete. So I'm like, man. I used to be, when I was younger, I used to like really be a film buff, you know, and like really like when I started a movie, I had to finish it even if it was like garbage, like, you know, at the beginning of the movie. And like I even watched like some B or D rated like films, like really crappy films. But as I got older, man, I just don't have no patience for this shit no more. There's so many movies out there, and I'm not missing nothing by not watching 2 hours of bullshit, you know? So anyways, let's see here. See what we can play this one. This podcast, see what beat I can play for y'all. This will open up. Treylow beat, man. DJ Treylow at gmail.com. If you want to get a beat, if you listen to this podcast, like I said, I got 2 books on Amazon. Or if you see me in person and I got them on me, I'll sell them to you. Go on Amazon, look up Mr. David Patrick Myers in the search engine. It'll bring up 2 of my books. One's The Rectangulars by David Myers, and the other one's The Pavilion Vortex, which is a little short story. Rectangular is actually a novel, even though it doesn't look like a novel, it's a novel. So let me get that out the way. And like I did about 19 beats this year, just pretty much, you know, got my samples offline and just kind of mix and match them, put them together. So if you like any of these beats I play on the podcast, just get at me, DJ Treylow. That's DJ TREYLOW at gmail.com. You know what I'm saying? Just shoot me a little email and say, hey, I like that one beat you played on that podcast. You know what I'm saying? I'll send you an email back. Maybe I'll just shoot you the beat for free. I don't know. It just depends, you know, how I'm feeling, because, you know, I'm just trying to promote. Which comes to the first subject of this podcast. Promotion when you're up and coming. Now, I saw a good friend of mine named Henry on the bus the other day. You know, I drive the bus. I'm not actually like, that's like my main job, I guess, is a bus driver. You know, so, you know, my dream jobs are like beat production and Arthur, but, you know, like I said, I'm just a hungry artist, up and coming. And it's good to be hungry, because like when you're down at the bottom and you're not really making no money, that's when you strive to work the hardest. You know, when you already become a success, it's like you know, you have to find other ways to motivate you, because, you know, you're already a success at your craft, and you're already rich. So it's like, I already got all the money I want. I can just go on vacation all year. Why the hell I want to go in there and actually work and put together some art? But, you know, I heard that argument, but to me, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like there's certain days that just something comes over me, and I just feel like I got to create something. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like a energy that comes over. There's some days when I don't feel like doing shit, but there's some days where like this energy just comes over me, and I'm like, I gotta make a beat, or I gotta write a story, or I gotta do something. You know what I'm saying? So I think even if I got rich, I don't think that energy would just be like gone. I think some people that don't ever have that energy at first, they're just in it to get rich, and they actually get success, and they never had that energy. You know, they just put out like one CD or one book or whatever they're doing, and they get successful. Those are the ones that kind of like don't do nothing after that. You know what I'm saying? Those are the ones that got, okay, I'm rich now, fuck it, I'm done. Because there's some people out there, it doesn't matter how much money they got, they're still, you know, putting movies out, putting books out, you know, they just keep on creating. So, back to what I was saying, I met my friend Henry on the bus the other day, and we was talking. I mean, he's trying to get his own business going, and he was floating me some ideas and some concepts. The thing that we kind of discussed was, you know, building your hype before you start investing your money, and that's my thing. Is like, you know, a lot of people can have a lot of good ideas and concepts when it comes to like creating their own business or their own brand. You know what I'm saying? But if you ain't got no fans or no audience to sell to, that doesn't, you know, there's no point in actually doing it. He even actually talked about the Oprah Winfrey network. And he said, you know, Oprah Winfrey, you know, she went out there and built her own network. So she became successful. And, you know, she didn't depend on all these other networks to push her brand. That's her own channel. And he talked to me a lot about internet channels and stuff like that, and investing money into opening up your own internet channel and stuff. It seemed pretty interesting stuff. But my thing is this: we talk, you know, it's you have to be able to merge with the platform already established and build your name first. You know what I'm saying? You can go and, you know, create your own identity, your own brand, but if you have not built your name first, nobody's going to care. Just like with me writing books, nobody, I mean, I say this on every podcast, like, hey, you know, go get my books on Amazon, blah, 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 you know, this and that. Or somebody might walk into the bookstore, book people on 6th and Lamar, and see my book over there in the horror section, say, you know, pick it up and look at the back of it and check it out. But I mean, the thing is, nobody knows who I am. If I saw a book in a bookstore and I didn't even know who the author was, I probably would read the back and it might catch my interest. I might give it a shot. But most people don't do that. Like, most people will roll with the author that they know is a famous author, that they know, you know, he's already built his brand, like his name, everything. It's gonna sell. And how did he do that? He used a platform which was already established. A platform that could get him to, you know, to where his name was recognized. And that's what we talked about a lot on the bus, because I said, man, you know, and he was floating concepts at me about, like, you know, just signing up for my own internet TV channel and stuff. And I'm like, why am I going to invest all this money and buy this internet TV channel if nobody even knows my name? Like, why would anybody even watch it? You know what I'm saying? Because nobody knows who I am. Podcasts are good because it's promotion, and, you know, regardless of people listen to it or not, you're still, like, you know, staying relevant. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it pretty much doesn't cost anything. It's free to do podcasts, you know, unless you're like, but, you know, here's the thing. Even with podcasts, they use platforms. Like, if you want to be like a famous podcast, you know, Spotify will sit up there and hire certain people to do certain podcasts, and then they'll push your podcast as a commercial on other podcasts. So, like, somebody might hear a commercial of your podcast. You know, they push you out there. They do the marketing for you.
You see what I'm saying? So you could be a nobody, but you use their platform and they do the marketing for you, and everybody like, oh, it catches their interest. You know what I'm saying? And then they want to listen to you. Now, if you weren't doing no marketing on some famous podcast, nobody would even care to listen to your podcast. See what I'm saying? So the key thing is, if you're going to establish steps in being somebody successful in any kind of entertainment industry, it's that, ride somebody's platform. I'll go back to the Oprah Winfrey Network comment that he made. Oprah Winfrey had I don't know if it's NBC or ABC, whatever, her show on that channel for so long. So she used that platform to establish her name first. She didn't just go out there and say, I'm going to start the Oprah Winfrey Network. See what I'm saying? Nobody knows who Oprah Winfrey was. No, she took all those years of being a talk show host, using that platform. It's good to have your own individual, business and your own individual thing to get started, but you have to build a platform to where, like use another platform to build your name first, and then you can sell. And we also talked about like Master P. And he said, well, Master P, he started his own, and blew up with No Limit Records. First of all, Master P went to Richmond, California, and he opened up his own record store with $10,000. He had I think from life insurance or something. I don't know exactly the whole story behind it, but he had 10 grand and he bought a little record store. Back then in the 90s, record stores were, what was jumping. You have to go to a record store to buy a CD or tape. The internet wasn't like it was then. It was early 90s, 90, 89, 90, 91. So, that's how you got your rap music. You go to a record store, buy a CD. So there was a good investment. And then on top of it, he could push his own music out that store. Like he owned the store. So he'd be like, okay, everybody's going to come in here and buy a CD, buy a tape. And then, he sit up there and market his own shit, do his own marketing out the store. And back then it was popular, so it jumped off. Like his music started taking off. Like he started selling his own music. That's different from like nowadays. There was a window of opportunity then that he jumped on and he was able to be successful. Nowadays, a lot of times, that's like a rare thing where something happens and you can use that to your benefit. But nowadays, most of the time with business, there's a need and I forgot the word of it, but the concept of business. But you have to have something that people want, basically. You know what I'm saying? You have provide means to whatever. Go in there. It needs to be plugged in and charged up. You gotta go charge it up, plug it in. That's my local interruption. Every podcast you do comes in here and says something. It's all good though. My son, I love him, but every time I do a podcast, he got to come up in here and say something on the podcast. That time, the Xbox One controller wasn't charged up, so he has to actually plug in the Xbox One to charge it up. So, with business, you have to have a concept where everybody needs something. Back then with Master P, what I was saying, Master P had a concept where everybody wanted rap music. It was jumping, and everybody was going to go to a store to buy a CD. So he had the concept where he needed that. Now it wouldn't work for him. And Master P tried to start now with this record store and $10,000. Nobody would give a damn about that shit. Now it's a whole different, it's evolved into a whole different thing. Like now it's all like YouTube and internet, and like if you can get like followers and be popular and use those platforms, all those are platforms like YouTube and stuff like that, and you might have one hit song and then it gets so many views, it gets passed around so many views, and then you take off that way. It's not like that, the old school kind of taking off. So the game done changed. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, I'm talking this business stuff to you because basically I don't know. I just kind of like, he was running Henry, like back to Henry on the bus. He was running all these concepts to me. I'm like, listening, and it's interesting because I would love to be successful at what I do instead of actually drive a bus every day. I'd love to be a famous author and just go to book signings or do beat production for like famous artists. I would love that shit. But my thing is this, like, I gotta establish a buzz, and then on top of it, maybe I'm not that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if I'm average or whatever, average doesn't always sell. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm trying to, I'm not saying I'm not going to knock myself, but I'm just saying there's all kinds of like, there's all kinds of things that go into that, like layers. You know what I'm saying? It could be this reason, that reason. Maybe it's just not my time. Like sometimes there's certain time when people become successful in life, and then there's sometimes when you're not. So sometimes it's a time concept. Maybe it's not your time yet to blow up. You know what I'm saying? So, but this is the main thing that I'm trying to say. Establish your clientele, your fan base. Establish your name. If you got to use another platform to help, boost yourself up, use that platform. In the meantime, when you're using somebody else's platform, try to stay humble. Because if you didn't have their help, your name would never get established. Like, you could go and use a platform that's already been like big and famous, and then you start getting this money, and then you get this little cocky attitude like, okay, they're not paying me enough, or they're not doing this and that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna rock with them no more because they're not doing what I want. And you get the the stank nose in the air kind of shit. Well, the problem with that is what you failed to forget. You failed to forget you was nobody before you got established. Now, if as soon as you get your name established, you can break off. Like if they get if you get screwed at first, I would take a loss. Like a lot of times, like that's what Henry didn't understand on the bus. A lot of times with my books, I give them away because I'm not an established name yet. My brand's not established. So if I see people and I got a stack of books on me, sometimes I just do promo and be like, here, man, you read? Here's a book. Check it out. See if you like it. Let me know what's up. You know what I'm saying? I'll sign it for and give it to them. Sometimes, that's not all the time, but, sometimes I'll give them away. Sometimes, I'll charge like $5 and it's not arm and a leg to buy a book for $5. But, and then on top of it, I got to look at my target audience because nobody reads books no more. Nobody's, everybody's into, watching movies or being on the internet. Barely anybody reads books no more. Now, in the majority, you look at like also the demographics. I studied the business side to it, and most people that read books are females. It's not males now. So your majority of your audience is going to be a female audience. So like even to get started in like writing a book and being successful at it, like sometimes you got to think, okay, I'm not an established name. So maybe I should write this book more targeted toward a female mind. I've never done that with none of my books. All my books are like hardcore horror books. Killer shit, extreme violence. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really targeting like a woman's side of it. Even if you look at like, say for instance, a lot of people don't understand this, but even if you look at like Stephen King, his first book was Carrie. It had to do with a teenage girl dealing with her, her puberty and her period, and other girls making fun of her in school, and she was kind of nerdy and quiet. All these kind of things women could relate to. So he actually took his first novel before he built his brand and said, okay, I can sell this book to not just guys, but to females, because females tend to read more than guys. The older men, like, the baby boomer generation, they might still read books. But now it's like, there's so many distractions with cell phones and with internet and with social media and movies popping out every day that nobody really reads books. But see, the thing is, what people don't understand, books are the base for everything. Okay, you wouldn't have no new movies to watch if you didn't have a book, which is like a script. You know, it's a plan to make the movie. You know what I'm saying? That's like a book, a story being told that translates into a movie. So books are the basis to everything. Every creation on this earth is based on books. Instruction manuals tell you how to make things. You can't make things unless you have a book, which is a foundation. So, you know, people can forget about books all they want. Say, I don't like to read. This shit is boring. You know what I'm saying? But then you watch these screens all day, and basically your eyes you start losing your vision because you're staring at lights all day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's a good thing in the long run, all this new technology. You know what I'm saying? maybe one day they'll all go back to reading books because you're not staring at a light, you're staring at a book to read. But yeah, I grew up reading books more than watching TV, and that's why my mind got better as far as like being creative. So like my pops wouldn't even let me watch TV when I was growing up. Like he was like, you need to read a book, you need to get your mind going. So I just read more than I actually watch television when I was younger. Now it's different. Now that I got TVs in every room, shit like that. So of course I watch more TV now. So shout out to Henry if you hear this podcast, man. I wasn't talking down on you. I was just saying, you know, you got some really good ass concepts, but I was just saying like you got to build your fan base. You know, before you start investing your money. You know what I'm saying? It's like a rap artist goes and buys this $10,000-$20,000 studio, sits up there, makes a studio in his house, buys all this, you know, super badass equipment, microphone, everything like that. But he doesn't have one guy that's listening to his CDs. You know, you're doing stuff ass backwards. First, you get people that are into your music, fans. You know what I'm saying? First, you build a business with your fans, and then you sit up there and go and invest money. You don't invest money first without your clients. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. You could do that with any kind of business. You could do that with drug dealing. Like everybody's, you know, say that's a bad example, but it's a business example. But I mean, say you wouldn't go buy like 2 or 3 keys of coke, and you don't have any clients. You never sold coke on the street to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And then you're walking around trying to find out who's going to buy the coke. You might talk to undercover police because you never even built up your whole clientele. Like that would be stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, if you're in any kind of business, you're going to build up your clients before you go invest money into shit. See what I'm saying? So it's good to talk about stuff you can invest in, but it's really not going anywhere until you can actually build your clients. Now, he was talking about this internet TV shit and how it's a platform and how they will get you on all these apps and stuff on people's phones and everything like that. So say I got an app and with my internet TV, I tell people, go download this app and punch in David Myers so you can bring up my channel. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one or two of my friends. Oh, that's another thing. I don't want to segue away from this, but you have 2 different kinds of fan base when you talk about fans. You got fans that are support, which is friends and family. So regardless of if your shit's garbage or not, they're gonna support you, friends and family. You know what I'm saying? Because they care about you. And then you got fans that are not friends and family with are it's not support, but I forgot the damn word. But it's somebody who doesn't even know you. If you can get a fan that doesn't even know you interested in what you're doing, that's when you're a success. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people out here do these rap shows and they're all like, yeah, man, I killed it, man. I'm famous and all this and that. But they don't realize that club's already packed every night. All the people in there are there regardless of the show or not. And, you know, they're there and they see the show and you thinking, you know, you're famous because all these people in there listening to your music. No. And then, you know, of course, your friends and family will show up and makes you feel like, oh, damn, they really care about my shit. No. Like, you got to have, like, a whole crew of people show up that don't even know you. Just heard your song on a radio or on a YouTube or, you know, and just say, damn, this guy's cold. And just show up. That's when you know you're starting to be a success. So don't ever feel like, you know, you're being a success before that happens. Because I know some people that get real cocky and real arrogant off of thinking that people are into their shit and nobody's really into their shit. Like, you know, they're not looking around and being realistic. Like, okay, you haven't even established your name. Nobody's listening to this outside of your inner circle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying stop being creative. I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing. If that's what you love to do, do it to the fullest, to the extreme. What I'm saying is don't go around with this super badass ego and this big head and nobody outside of your inner circles listening or supporting you. See what I'm saying? So that's what I was talking about with him on the shit, man. Did I forget something? Sometimes I go through so many. See, I need to get an outline to these podcasts. A lot of people that are real smart to get outlines. So like they write down everything they're going to talk about. So that way, because I'd be like jumping from one subject to the next, to the next, to the next. And I don't really like focus on one subject. But I mean, the main subject of this is business and how to establish your clientele. You know, basically that's all I've been talking about, the subject before. Don't do it backwards. Don't start investing and you haven't established any kind of fan base or clientele. Don't do that. That's why I don't, you know, he was like, man, you should never give your book away for free. You should always charge. And I'm like, I look at it from all sides of the picture. If somebody came up to me on the street trying to sell me something, I don't even know who the fuck you are. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about you. And you want me to spend my money on your product. And I mean, like, I want to, you know, promote before I do that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I give away a lot of stuff, because I'm like, okay, read this one. If you like it, I'm trying, my goal now is to write one book a year. That's my goal. And, you know, like a lot of these authors out here, they didn't get famous till like fifth or sixth book. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like they were making money off their first 2 or 3 books. But I'm trying to get to the point where I just keep on writing. And, you know, I usually wait till like toward the end of the year, September, October, to really go hard on it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, you know, at the beginning of the year. But I've been lazy. Like after the Rectangulars, I was like, I finally wrote a novel, And I've been promoting that shit. So I hadn't really been on my hustle game as far as writing. So I've been taking off like almost like, I finished that in like 2017 or 2016 or 17. Yeah, 17. So 18, I didn't really do shit. And now it's 2019. So I got a whole bunch of short stories I started. I didn't finish. So I'm going to, you know, finish that compilation. The Rectangulars is actually part of that compilation. But the Rectangulars, it just kind of branched off and did its own thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, this is going to be a whole novel. It was really just a short story. Like I was making some weird fucking short story about, you know, a city that's, you know, got invisible walls around it in the ocean, and you got a clone, a copy of yourself or clone version of yourself doing bad things and you're doing good things. But it's kind of like the same kind of concept is like, that old Star Trek episode or the old Stephen King, The Dark Half. But the thing was, what made it unique with the Rectangulars was when you went to sleep, certain things that would get on the body of the other version of yourself would appear on yourself. Like it operated like opposite. So when one version was asleep, the other one was active. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time. But there are some times, like at the end of the book, where both of them are active at the same time. But I was trying to get that concept, like, you can't be one's sleep, one's wake, doing stuff, and then like when the other one wakes back up, he might find like blood on his hands and be like, what the hell? Why is there blood on my hands? See what I'm saying? Like certain stuff would get like residue would transfer over from like what your other version of yourself is doing. So that was unique to that idea. There's always been concepts of two versions of yourself, and one's bad and one's good. It's always like they've always had that in science fiction. So I know that concept is out there. The concept of residue appearing on somebody, and the good one is sleep and the bad one's doing stuff, or the bad one's sleep and the good one's doing stuff. That's kind of original. Inside of a city where there's like a invisible walls in the ocean and shit. That's the rectangulars. So it just kind of like branched out and did its own fucking thing, like a whole big ass story. But the short stories I'm writing on, I know one of them, I actually, if you go on my YouTube, which is D Myers 45, and look up my playlist, and one of them's like one of the short stories that I already finished up, but it's going to be included in those short story collection is called The Basement. The Basement Eyes, actually. The Basement Eyes, I'm sorry, not just The Basement. And or I called it either The Basement or The Warehouse, The Empty Warehouse, because actually, it has to do with the guy that's painting a wall in a basement of a warehouse, and he loses his mind and shit, and he sees all these evil shit going on, and he goes crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's the short story I did, and I read the whole story. If you want to read, like I even did, I'm so much of a hustler with my books. I'm like, okay, people don't want to read books. I'll actually read an audio version, and I'm not that good at an audio version. I'm not like all proper voiced. You know what I'm saying? I should have hired like a British guy or something to do my audio book or something. But I'm just saying, that's how much of a hustler I am. If you go on my YouTube, D Myers, DMYERS 45, just punch it in on your search engine, go to my playlist, look up The Basement, and it's got a part 1 and part 2. It's an audio version to it that I read the whole story. See what I'm saying? And I actually that was like back when I was just started doing music. So I actually did some cheap horror kind of music in the background. It was like offbeat and shit. If I'd done like my own theme music now, it'd be a lot better. So anyways, man, and like I said, if you do look at D Myers 45 on my YouTube, I did my first independent film on there, because I was actually more into directing than writing and doing DJing and beat production when I was younger. So we did this little movie called Homeboys, which was horrible. I mean, the acting was horrible, and that's because I worked with some of my friends that I grew up from high school, and nobody wanted to follow the script or do their lines. They all wanted to ad lib, and it just turned out bad. But it's up there regardless if you want to see it. I filmed it like 2001, and we actually got Paul Wall. Like it's funny. Like he's just like in a party scene sitting on the couch, like at the end of the movie. He doesn't have any lines or anything, but he was actually in that film. So it's actually on my YouTube. If you look on the playlist, just look up Homeboys film. All right, man. I'm already past 30 minutes on this. I'm 33 minutes in. Hopefully I didn't blab too long and blow your ear off, and you're like, this dude is all over the place. I don't want to listen to this podcast because he's not focused. But I noticed, man, like even with me, like I hear some podcasts out there with real famous people, and they're all over the place. And the thing that helps their podcast is like when they have an interview coming, like they interview somebody else that comes in, and that breaks up them from just dribbling away for 30-40 minutes. And that's why I like people that I always like guest on my podcast. I always tell everybody like, hey man, come jump on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that's gonna break up the dribble for me and give you like somebody else that could probably give me a little pause to where it's like, okay, he's saying too much, he's putting too many concepts in my head, and then somebody else talks, and then it kind of like breaks all that shit up to where it's not too much dribbling, ADD type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody do this shit. So, if you got to talk for like 30 minutes, of course you're going to go off on like, 40 different subjects or something. I try to stick to one. I try to, stay focused. So, Austin, Texas, June, almost about to be the 4th of July. I didn't do the local news or hip hop news on this one. I just talked about business and shit. So I'll talk to y'all boys later next week. Probably put a new beat out there for you. All right, bye.